That is by far the most privileged thing I've heard on this app. I don't know what country you live in, but in the United States, people go hungry all the time. School lunch is something I fight for in my own community. I think all kids should have access to school lunch for free. And before you come at me, nothing's free. Well, no, but you know who shouldn't have to pay for it? The kids. You know how people work day to day and still are food insecure? Some of these kids only eat when they go to school. And now you want to deprive them of that too?
That was Jay Coelho, the mayor of Waterville, Maine, and he's fighting back against right-wing Republicans who want to take food out of children's mouths. And that's not a figure of speech. Republicans now think that free school lunches are spoiling the low-income kids who face food insecurity at home. Coelho is taking on the big lie that feeding our students isn't a job for the state, and he's furious with Republicans who want to have it both ways. Here's Coelho calling out far-right lawmakers who want to cut off foreign aid so that we can spend that money right here at home, just not on keeping American children fed.
I don't know what's wrong with people. Every time we give away money to a foreign nation, you're like, oh, why aren't we spending it here? And then when we do want to spend it here, you're like, oh, nobody needs it. No one needs food. Spoken like a true douchebag that's never served anyone at a soup kitchen.
Despite the GOP's disinformation around child hunger, the facts are hard to ignore. 1 in 4 Americans suffers from food insecurity. A staggering 12 million children live in homes categorized as food insecure, meaning their households don't have enough food to reliably give every member of the family a meal every day. And the most acute cases of food insecurity? Those come from red states. In fact, Coelho's only mistake is that he doesn't go far enough in describing the GOP's hatred for critical social programs. Republicans have spent generations convincing their voters that government is the problem, and the answer is to keep Americans poor, hungry, and tied to low-earning jobs they hate. Take this right-wing nutcase who really hates Joe Biden's student debt cancellation plan.
What's your degree in? She said, liberal arts. I said, well, there's problem. Why don't you take art history as a major? Why don't you take another completely useless educational degree that you're going to go to school for, what, 6 years for? To get a master's in liberal arts? What the are you going to do with that? Why don't you go take a class that you could do something with? I don't know, become a doctor, maybe an engineer, maybe a scientist, maybe something else the world could use. I think we have enough lawyers, and I think we have enough liberal arts majors. And now you don't want to pay back your student loan? Now the government's just going to, make them all go away so that I have to pay for it?
Of course, Republicans don't hate all spending. They didn't have a bad word to say about Donald Trump's $1.9 trillion handout to the ultra-rich, and don't even try asking them to remove the $20 billion in fossil fuel subsidies oil companies get every year. But a couple of $1 billion to ensure every kid in America is fed? Whoa. Calm down with the socialism, buddy. That GOP addiction to cutting social programs is actively, measurably hurting our economy. It's also killing our people. The child tax credit is the most successful child anti-poverty measure in American history. It cut child poverty by nearly half in just 6 months. Or rather, it was our most successful anti-poverty effort until Republicans unanimously refused to extend it. As a result, millions of American families have been plunged back into poverty. Republicans know kids in their states are going hungry. They can read the numbers the same as anyone else. So why don't they care? Well, one reason is that those hungry families just aren't their kind of people. Republicans know that when you're hungry, you're more likely to take any job, even one that abuses and exploits you. And they know you'll do almost anything to keep that job, including voting against your own long-term interests. That's great for the Republican base, all those millionaires and billionaires who own the businesses you're probably working at, but it's literally killing Republican voters. And some Americans are pushing back hard, like this TikTok user who dismantled Republican criticisms of Biden's student loan cancellations. Take a look.
A lot of talk out there today, I worked my ass off for years to pay off my student loans. Now they just get off scot-free. How is that fair? Well, as someone who also paid off their student loans, I love this program because I, A, understand how much it sucks to have student loans, and B, am not a selfish asshole. I really don't understand this mentality. My dad died of pancreatic cancer. If they announced a miracle cure tomorrow, I'm not going to take to Twitter oh, okay, so all these entitled cancer havers out here today just get to go on being alive, huh? Is that how things work in Joe Biden's America? Okay.
Voters across the country have faced decades of Republicans telling them that social spending isn't just wrong, it's dangerous to American greatness. But those same voters are also watching the right fight against the child tax credit and against reducing their student debt slavery. Is it any surprise that Democrats are now posting their best polling numbers of Biden's presidency? If those numbers scare Republicans, good. Maybe they should stop trying to steal food out of children's mouths like a real-world Lex Luthor. But it isn't enough for Democrats to point out how Republicans are hurting you. They'll actually need to deliver real wins that actually improve the lives of working-class families. Biden's student debt relief is a good start. Now it's time to double down. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and consider subscribing. And leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.